Morning everybody, welcome to this week's midweek thought for the day, which is only live on Facebook Live, and I'll put it onto YouTube later, as opposed to having a service this week. At the moment, all public worship services, normal services, are currently suspended, and we'll let you know what's happening. We are allowed to have limited funeral services, so some of you know that we will need to do that in a couple of weeks. So this week I wanted to start with a little reading from Proverbs for our Old Testament reading, and it's Proverbs chapter 3 beginning at verse 13. So it's called The True Wealth. Happy are those who find wisdom and those who get understanding, for her income is better than silver and her revenue better than gold. She is more precious than jewels, and nothing you desire can compare with her. Long life is in her right hand, in her left hand are riches and honour. Her ways are ways of pleasantness, and all her paths are peace. She is a tree of life to those who lay hold of her. Those who hold her fast are called happy. And then for the gospel reading for this week, I've chosen the very end of Luke 24. Some of you, and if you want to go back and look in the Lidbrook Group YouTube channel, you can see me reading this as a Mr. Man book called Mr. Peace, homemade, made longer ago than I care to remember, on some pieces of flip chart paper, standing the test of time. So this is about Jesus and his promise of peace. So it's Luke 24 verse 36. While they were talking about this, Jesus himself stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you." They were startled and terrified and thought that they were seeing a ghost. He said to them, "Why are you frightened, and why do doubts arise in your hearts? Look at my hands and my feet, and see that it is I myself. Touch me and see, for a ghost does not have the flesh and bones you see I have." And when he had said this, he showed them his hands and his feet. So that's the Bible readings for today. And for today I wanted to read this poem. Some of you know we're working on through this book, Terry Waite, Out of the Silence. We're going to finish this with Advent, so there's just one more week of this of the book after this week, and then we'll move to some Advent poems. In this reading for today, Terry Waite is talking about his experience of thinking about the Eisteddfod and what that means for him. And this is a bit strange, but he talks about watching John Sargent report on thinking about the Eisteddfod. So John Sargent visited Llangollen in North Wales, where each year an international music festival is held. The festival was started by local people after the Second World War and is designed to promote peace through the language of arts, principally music. Musicians and others from all corners of the globe gather together in Llangollen each July, and for one full week this little Welsh town is transformed. One of the first groups to arrive for the inaugural festival in 1947 came from Portugal. They made the journey across Europe in an ancient charabanc and caused great excitement as they drove down the main street of the town. Subsequently, there have been countless emotional moments, but perhaps one of the most memorable took place in 1949. In the July of that year, a young man, Hugh Roberts, was asked to compare the international mixed choir competition. This was not an easy task for him, as on the final day of the Second World War, his brother had been killed in action in Germany. Standing in the wings, ready to perform, was the Lübeck choir from West Germany. The audience waited anxiously, wondering how Hyle would cope with the situation. In the true spirit of the Eisteddfod, he made an emotional appeal that the choir be greeted as our friends from West Germany. The following poem was written at the request of the current musical director, Elliot Owen Griffiths, to be set to the music to commemorate the 70th year of the festival. And this is Terry's poem. It's called The Ashes of War. The ashes of war litter the ground where men have fought and died. The wind blows cold across the fields. The wind blows cold today. The weapons of war are silent now where men have fought and died. The wind blows hard across the fields. The wind blows hard today. The burdens of war has muted our song where men have fought and died. The wind blows harsh across the fields. The wind blows harsh today. We hear the echo of a song where men have fought and died. A gentle song, a healing song, a song that rises from the dust and calms the troubled mind. The wind has calmed across the fields where men have fought and died. A gentle voice proclaims the hope that from the ashes of despair a harmony will rise. In Kimru's fields a healing wind breathes harmony and peace, and from the ashes of despair 1,000 voices fill the air. Blessed is the world that sings. The nations gather from afar, their voices are as one. The children laugh and dance and sing, their voices through the valleys ring, the ashes now ablaze with light. Blessed is the world that sings. Blessed is the world that sings. Just after the poem, Terry Waite writes this. Some years ago, the committee of the festival wrote to me inviting me to be president, and I replied that I was honoured to be asked, but I was not Welsh. Back came the reply reminding me that this was an international festival and urging me to accept. Accept I did, and the following lines give a little of the flavour of the week. The word Eisteddfod is Welsh, of course, and simply means a gathering. It's been really hard this week to have remembrance and to think about conflict and peace and what's been happening when we haven't been able to gather and when we haven't been able to sing together. But that time will come for us again. Sometimes we run out of our own words and we need our friends to remind us. There's that lovely saying that a friend is someone who knows the song of your heart and can remind you of how it goes when you have forgotten. And so soon, we don't know when, but sometime we will be able to meet and sing and gather and join together and remember what it is to bring joy and harmony in that meeting. I've been really struck this week thinking about peace and the writings of Terry and our responsibilities in peace. The Bible readings talk about peace as the most precious thing. It's associated with this preciousness, this gift from Jesus of peace. And I've been reflecting on how people who go to conflict are not going to conflict to bring war. They go to armed conflict to bring peace. Peace which is so precious. Peace which is the gift of Jesus. And I wrote down a couple of words a bit earlier this morning, which I was trying to summarise what I wanted to say about this today. And this is as far as I've got about our duty to live well. So as we think this week and we come to the end of our time of remembrance and we think about conflict and peace and duties that people have done for us, I just wrote this. Our duty is to live well in the peace which has been given to us at so great a cost. Our duty is to live well in the peace which has been given to us at so great a cost. And this week, in amongst all the things which have been going on in the world, in our own communities, my prayer is that this week we would manage to do that, to live well in the peace that we have. Amen.